Following the Federation's ultimate victory in the First Galactic War, the galaxy appeared to be completely under the domination of Super-Earth. The cyborgs were defeated and enslaved, the Illuminate survivors fled, their numbers greatly diminished, and the bugs were relegated to being farmed as biological oil pumps. Victory seemed absolute, and the galaxy poised for an era of unprecedented stability. But looks can be deceiving. As the demand for E710 continued to grow, so did the pressure on Super-Earth. The challenge was daunting. How could the Federation keep up with the galaxy's growing appetite for resources? What happened next may have set off the chain of events that plunged the galaxy into chaos once again. This is T3 from the FTK Collective, taking you on a ride to discover the multiple theories about the TCS, the Gloom, and how it all might be connected. It all began with small-scale experiments prior to the outbreak of the Second Galactic War. Scientists were allegedly tasked with solving the E710 crisis by any means necessary. Their solution? Genetically engineering the bugs themselves. These experiments involved injecting the bugs with growth hormones and fertility drugs to accelerate reproduction and increase biomass. At first, it seemed like a breakthrough. It was discovered that dead bugs produced higher concentrations of E710, but these desperate gambles led to disastrous consequences. The bugs became more aggressive, more adaptable, and even more efficient at reproduction. There was even a new type of bug that emerged, the stalkers. These creatures can cloak themselves, making them invisible to Helldivers and allowing them to attack from the shadows. Scientists were fascinated. Initial studies were probably conducted under controlled conditions, but given the Federation's perpetual greed, we suspect that they wanted results under real-world conditions, and to harvest even more E710 in the process. While we're not suggesting that every Terminid outbreak was engineered, deliberate outbreaks likely played a significant role in destabilizing the galaxy and igniting the Second Galactic War. As the war escalated, Super-Earth presented its so-called solution, the Terminid Control System, or TCS in short. Promoted as the ultimate weapon against the Terminids, the TCS boasted a 99.6% success rate in eradicating bugs.
Freedom's greetings. I'm your host, Coretta Kelly. With termicide dispersion towers now installed across the barrier planets, the Helldivers have begun operations to fully activate the Terminid Control System. The termicide is reportedly proving extremely effective, with experts saying the benefits to the local ecology far outweigh the loss of some native species. Stay tuned.
On paper, it seemed like a saving grace, but as the events on Meridia later revealed, the TCS was not without its flaws. At first, the TCS worked as intended, the Terminid population was decimated, and the Federation won a decisive victory. But its use on the planet Meridia showed a very different result.
Freedom's greetings. I'm Coretta Kelly. On Meridia, some of the remaining Terminids not only survived, but actually began reproducing up to 20 times faster than before. Scientists are now calling the planet a Terminid, quote, supercolony. The mutations caused by the termicide appear to be random, but according to the report, it is only a matter of time before the same reaction appears on the rest of the barrier planets. The disgraced scientists who developed the termicide have been taken into custody and are to be investigated for dissident infiltration. That's Liberty's latest. I'm Coretta Kelly.
But here's the real shocker. Was the TCS failure really a failure, or did Super Earth know exactly what it was doing? Now let's take a closer look at Meridia. The Terminids didn't just survive, they thrived, producing more biomass in E710. So what if the TCS wasn't a failure at all, but a calculated risk? There are three key factors to support this theory. Number 1. Bugs had a 10 times higher E710 concentration than normal, which is pretty desirable from Super Earth's point of view. Number 2. The 20% faster reproduction rate also came in handy because higher E710 concentration combined with faster reproduction makes farming far more efficient. Number 3. The TCS was deployed across multiple planets in the galaxy, meaning this wasn't an isolated case. Meridia was just the only planet where survival rate was high enough to form a super colony. We assume that Meridia's transformation into a super colony was possibly the intended result of the TCS. Officials were aware, however, that the exploitation of this super colony could not continue indefinitely, and that a solution to this problem was needed as well. Even though Meridia's super colony caused a massive leap in E710 production, the Federation couldn't ignore the public outcry. Citizens, mourning the loss of loved ones, demanded vengeance. Super Earth needed a victory, a symbol of justice. Enter dark fluid. This alien material, believed to originate from the Illuminate, possessed unparalleled power. While its exact properties remain classified, we know its weaponized form is devastating.
Freedom's greetings. I'm your host, Coretta Kelly. Today, the Dark Fluid Research Facility on Meridia went into emergency shutdown, following what officials are describing as, quote, a close call. According to reports, the volatile exotic material suddenly collapsed into a micro black hole that spaghettified 12 facility members before evaporating. Production of weaponized dark fluid is scheduled to resume tomorrow, with no shortfalls projected in support of the ongoing operation to destroy the Terminid supercolony. That's Liberty's latest. I'm Coretta Kelly.
The Federation injected dark fluid into Meridia's crust during Operation Enduring Peace. When the substance destabilized the planet, it created what was later confirmed to be a wormhole. It annihilated the super colony, and Meridia was no more. Super Earth announced the arrest of 3 key scientists responsible for the Terminid Control System. In their words, these scientists were guilty of dissident infiltration, but this announcement leaves us with more questions than answers. Were they truly rogue actors, or was their removal part of a larger cover-up? Let's examine the 3 possible theories. Number 1. Were they unknowing lackeys who truly believed in the mission of the TCS and were discarded when their work was done? 2. Were they victimized scapegoats, arrested because they began uncovering the true purpose behind the TCS and the super colonies? Or 3. Were they complicit players fully aware of Super Earth's ulterior motives and silenced when the TCS was activated? The truth remains unclear, but the use of the term dissident infiltration seems rather suspect. The destruction of Meridia should have meant the end of trouble in this sector. This was true until weeks later when a new and even greater threat emerged, the Gloom, a massive Terminid spore cloud that grew rapidly and spread across several planets. While the exact effects of the Gloom are still being debated and Super Earth scientists are working tirelessly to find an answer, we can only look at what we know so far. While Terminids are known to send spores between planets, nothing of this magnitude has been seen before. After Operation Lighthouse, there were reports that the spores were accelerating the spread of Terminids on nearby planets. We at the FTK Collective have the following theory. Super Earth's use of the TCS and the dark fluid destruction of Meridia caused the Bergs to feel an extinction-level threat, triggering an emergency behavior. Perhaps this was the final push, acting as a catalyst for everything that followed. This would make the Gloom a hyper-adaptive counterattack. It serves as a decentralized, galaxy-spanning spore network. Let's take a closer look at how the Gloom is helping the Bergs. Primarily, it acts as a mutation incubator, allowing Bergs to reproduce 20 times faster and adapt to their environment and threats far better than before. Second, it's a defensive mechanism. Every ship and probe that's tried to get in has been destroyed within minutes, and the spores cloak everything to block any outside view. Third, we believe that the Gloom is also used as an advanced communication and travel device, with spores carrying communication bits and launching offspring to other planets. And finally, we suspect it is terraforming planets inside, killing off rival life forms and creating an atmosphere suitable for Bergs. The Gloom creates conditions similar to Meridia's supercolony, just on a much larger scale. Super Earth scientists are still unsure what to do. The only thing that mattered to them was the growth of the Gloom finally slowed down.
Good evening. I'm your host, Coretta Kelly. Today, the mysterious cloud of spores known as the Gloom finally showed signs of slowing its growth. The cloud, which began emanating from the core of the Terminid quarantine zone last week, has doubled in size almost every day and now encompasses nearly a dozen solar systems. All attempts to peer into the Gloom so far have failed, and military probes sent inside have all quickly ceased broadcasting. Experts speculate that the Gloom could be some kind of mutation incubator, supercharging the already extremely high rate of Terminid evolution. Currently, efforts are underway to construct a sturdier probe by insulating it in several layers of aluminum foil. That's Liberty's latest. I'm Coretta Kelly.
Super Earth's dominance after the First Galactic War seemed unshakable, but cracks quickly emerged. The relentless demand for E710 drove the Federation to experiment recklessly on the Terminids. If they hadn't pushed so hard to maximize their E710 supply, they might never have resorted to genetic manipulation in the first place. Their tampering triggered rapid mutations and an accelerated reproduction cycle, forcing them to deploy the TCS, an act that ultimately led to the creation of the first ever Terminid supercolony. Their solution to this was even more extreme. They turned to a planet-destroying weapon fueled by dark fluid stolen from the Illuminate. But what if this desperate act of destruction didn't end the threat, but escalated it, triggering the Gloom, an all-out Terminid counterattack? The Gloom has spread across the galaxy, accelerating Terminid evolution at an uncontrollable rate. But what if it's doing more than just mutating the Bergs? We stand behind our theory that the Gloom isn't just mutating and spreading Terminids, it's reshaping entire planets, transforming them into something like Meridia, only on a much larger scale. So what do you think? Was this chain reaction set in motion by Super Earth's greed? Or was it inevitable all along? One thing is certain. The fate of the galaxy has never been more uncertain. This is T3 from the FTK Collective. Stay alert, stay vigilant. Knowledge is humanity's last resort.